So let's check out what the update is for the 2024 election between Trump and Kamala. My personal opinion is Donald Trump needs to win this election. I firmly believe that if he does not win this election, we are going to be in some serious trouble. Knowing that Biden and Kamala have already been in office for the last 4 years, they have not made any improvements, and I don't believe that Kamala has any plans in the future, if she was to be elected, to make this country better, because most recently she was on The View. She was asked a question regarding what she would do differently if she was elected, and her answer, I believe, was that she could not think of anything at the moment. Well, that is extremely troubling, knowing that if this country were to get any worse than it is right now, then it's going to become pandemonium in the streets. So again, this is my personal opinion, but Donald Trump needs to win this election. So let's check out this video and we'll see where they both stand as of right now.
The odds of Donald Trump winning the 2024 contest have once again skyrocketed to an absurd 58%. As Kamala Harris's campaign continues to fail, today we'll be looking at what's behind his amazing climb. She was the preferred candidate to win the election just 3 weeks ago, but today Trump leads rather brilliantly. We will not be emphasizing all the strong and likely states, as we will be delving deeply into the 11 most competitive races on this map. Donald Trump is, after all, unlikely to win states like New Hampshire and Maine. States like Iowa and Ohio offer Kamala Harris no opportunity. Since these are the races that will actually determine the outcome of the election, we will thus concentrate on Polymarket forecast in these 11 non-shaded states. And in these states, movement is abound. For instance, just look at Michigan. 3 weeks ago, Donald Trump's chances of winning the state were just 33%. He's now 54%. Returning then to the map, we will start in Nevada, where Donald Trump and Kamala Harris have exactly the same 50% chance of winning the state. Nevada hardly could be more of a toss-up. For most of the past 2 months, Kamala Harris has been leading. Today, Trump formally caught up. Nevada is a pure toss-up between the two nominees. Examining the polling average, Trump has really surged ahead. With the most recent Wall Street Journal poll, he leads by 0.5% and stands up 6 points above the vice president. Given that the Wall Street Journal is a left-leading pollster, that is truly rather important. Furthermore, looking at the graph, Kamala Harris has been ahead from the end of August. She lost her lead a few days ago, but Trump leading in Nevada is rather significant. Since 2004, no Republican has won this state, yet Trump quite likely will be the first to turn Nevada around in 20 years. Given that we do have a tie in the betting markets, and the polling is inside the state in Trump's favor, the map will thus show tilt red. Trump is the definite favorite next in Arizona. He stands at a 68% state winning chance, a state he failed even in the past election. Biden actually carried Arizona by 0.31%, flipping it in 2020. Furthermore amazing is the fact that Trump's chances in the state right now are exactly the same as they were just before Biden withdrew in mid-July. With less than 4 months to go until the election, Democrats went through all the effort of substituting another nominee at the top of their ticket. Kamala Harris is also performing far worse than Joe Biden was prior to withdrawing from the contest today. To be honest, the Harris campaign's performance is just appalling. Turning now to the polling, the vice president's situation remains unchanged. Trump's lead is 1.1%. Among the 3 states where Trump leads by 1% or more is this one. Actually, the past president leads by 5 in the most recent New York Times poll. Trump's always dominated Arizona's polling. Harris led only during a very brief period of time during the Democratic convention. The polls do, however, indicate that the former president has a chance of returning Arizona. The betting markets also indicate that this will be a leading Republican state. Trump is most likely going to win Texas for a 3rd time as well. Ted Cruz is on the ballot, and we do have a competitive Senate race there. He performs not always the best. Simply said, he is not very popular in his own state. On the presidential front, however, Trump is obviously the preferred choice. 4 years ago, he stood at 91% chance of winning Texas. On Election Day, the polls showed Trump securing the state by 1%. In the end, He prevailed by almost 6 times that margin, and today Trump already leads by almost 6 points. All said and done, he is going to win Texas by almost a double-digit margin, maybe even 10 points or more. Trump should thus have no concerns in Texas, even if Kamala Harris is attempting to spend money there in order to be competitive. She has not at all chance, and thus Donald Trump is probably going to read the Lone Star State. He will pick it up once more with ease. Now we are moving up to the Midwest and have 4 states here. Kamala Harris has to sweep Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. She cannot shed even one of them, and once we have the manual filled, know why she is in such a vulnerable position. Since we are starting in Minnesota, where Kamala Harris made a big error. She ought not have chosen Tim Walz to be her running buddy. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro should have been it. By far the most crucial state on the map, Keystone State would have been difficult for him to assist Harris win. Tim Walz will now assist Harris in winning Minnesota, but this state no Democrat has lost since 1972. It ought to be their locked state. Today, Harris only has a 91% chance, though. She polls leading by less than 5 points. This may mean Joe Biden winning the state by 7% in 2020. Indeed, Walz is going to do enough to ensure Harris will win his native state, but he will not offer anything else. Harris truly needed a boost from nearby Wisconsin or Michigan or Pennsylvania, but he is not providing it. Now let's turn to Wisconsin. Though that is no longer the case, many believed Harris would not be able to win this state since Walz would be able to assist her out in Minnesota's neighbor. She did have a 60% chance of winning at one point. Her chances have dropped today, though, to just 47. Actually, Trump took to lead a few days ago for the first time in more than 2 months. Basically, Kamala Harris was the clear choice to win Wisconsin in less than a month throughout all of August and September. But now, just 20 days remain. Trump is blazing at the ideal moment. Examining the polling average, Harris leads only in one battleground state. She lags behind in all else. She won't have very long lead, though. Over the next few days, Trump most likely will seize control. Although the 3 most recent polls show a tie, polls taken in Wisconsin have been found to be quite erroneous in terms of overstretching Democratic support. Based on the polls, Hillary Clinton was en route to win Wisconsin by 6 points in 2016. She totally lost the state. Spoilers alert. Biden was supposed to win in 2020 by 6.3. He simply 0.6 won it. Harris might so theoretically have a lead. Nobody believes she is indeed winning. Wisconsin turned around on Polymarket in favor of Trump for this reason. It will thus be tilt Republican on our map as well. I have an even more fascinating graph to show you folks for Michigan. Look at Harris's fall from here. She dropped from almost a 70% chance, more than 2-3 odds, down to just 46. Few days ago, Trump also led Michigan for the first time in more than 2 months. What has been the most liberal of all the swing states, he is now the definite favorite. By a margin of almost 3 points, Michigan voted blue in the 2020 election. None of the battlegrounds voted for Biden by a margin bigger than that. With regard to the polling average, Trump leads by an amazing 1%, and yes, that is noteworthy. Look at 2016, really. Just see Clinton was expected to get the state by 11.4. Not even supposed to be close, was it? She lost Michigan totally at last. Joe Biden also underperformed projections for 2020 rather severely. Looking at the graph, Michigan was supposed to visit Harris for essentially all of August and September, entering early October. Trump is now the preferred, though. That is shown in the betting markets. And for Kamala Harris, Trump's victory in Michigan marks total game over. On our map, the state will also be tilt red with Trump marginally advantage. And then, should Trump be successful in Pennsylvania, the election is essentially over. Trump has no need of Michigan. He has no need of Nevada or Wisconsin. Pennsylvania is all he truly needs. With a 56% chance of winning, he is also the favorite looking at the odds. Having been ahead essentially from the start of the month, he has taken the lead from Harris, the preferred choice most of September. And looking at the polls, things once more not improved for the vice president. In most polls taken over the past 3 weeks, Trump leads by 0.3%, and looking at the average over the past few months, indeed Trump was ahead by rather a lot when Harris first entered the field. Even now, though, Pennsylvania's election has always been fierce, even with Joe Biden still running. However, given how much Trump has been underappreciated historically, and given his current poll leading performance, it is quite likely he will win Pennsylvania. Furthermore, the betting markets indicate that this state is lean Republican right now. Approaching the Southeast, we will start in Virginia, where Kamala Harris is the preferred choice. Though no Republican has held the state since George W. Bush, Trump can still get close. Regarding winning the state outright, he seems unlikely to do so. Actually, he only has a 13% chance of really carrying the Commonwealth of Virginia, which has been moving generally to the right over the past few years. Polls show Harris leading just under 7 points. When all is said and done, it most likely will be a lean Harris state. She will most likely win it by a 2 to 4 point margin. But Virginia will most certainly be far more competitive than it was in 2020, when Joe Biden won it by a double-digit margin. Furthermore, Virginia could be among the biggest shocks of this election cycle, particularly following Republicans' takeover of the government and the blacks in 2021. And thus, for now, the betting markets suggest that it will be probably blue, but it is still a race to see. Then Trump is obviously the favorite in North Carolina. He is definitely going to triumph on it. His odds of winning from the betting markets are 62%. Still, if you look at the polls, he is clearly leading rather brilliantly. His average leadership is 1.4%. Looking at the actual polls, though, he leads in every one of them. Kamala Harris leads in the Tar Heel state in an old poll not recently conducted. Whether he was against Harris or against Biden, Trump has been ahead in the average over the whole 2024. And the betting markets do seem to agree Trump will prevail. Mark Robinson, the governor candidate, who is battling a lot of scandals, is the sole reason his chances are not higher. Though not nearly enough to cause Trump to lose the state, he is definitely going to hurt him in the state. More importantly, polling in North Carolina has always favored Democrats. They constantly said the state would be able to turn blue. In 2016, Clinton was expected to prevail by 3.3. In 2020, Biden by 2.8. And Trump won North Carolina on both of those times. In both of the last two elections, this is the only swing state he won. And he will be winning it a third time as well. North Carolina, based on Poly Market, will lean red. Trump is also doing rather nicely down in Georgia. And you may be spotting a theme here. Indeed, Trump gave an amazing performance. He was expected to lose states including Nevada, Wisconsin, and Michigan just 2 weeks ago. He also was expected to lose states including Pennsylvania, Georgia, and North Carolina 1 month ago. But now, with less than 20 days left, Trump is blazing in the most perfect moment available. Right now, the chances in Georgia point clearly toward Trump. He stands 64% likely to win the state. Since Harris peaked in mid-August during the Democratic convention, his odds have been steadily rising. And the polls show Trump leading too. Ahead by 0.7, he leads most of the polls taken during the past 3 weeks. Harris led during a very brief period of time. She peaked essentially in late August and early September. But Trump has maintained a minor edge ever since then. Actually, Trump did not even win Georgia in the past election. But today, he is clearly the preferred choice. Georgia will likewise be lean Republican. And lastly, in Florida, we have a state where Democrats are, for some reason, beginning to flood money into. Though it is never going to happen, they suddenly believe they might really win Florida. Florida belongs in the red state category. Though it is not exactly solid red, it is at least within the likely Republican column. Harris barely has a 10% chance of winning in the markets right now. Trump turned out Florida in both of the past 2 elections. And both times, analysts declared that Democrats would capture the Sunshine State. They were off. Trump prevailed by 1.2%. 2020 saw them even more mistaken. Trump actually prevailed by a bigger 3.4% margin. Today's polling shows the former president leading at 6.1%. Actually, according to the most recent New York Times poll, Trump leads by a stunning 14 points and almost a perfect margin, a state that Trump just 8 years ago decided by a tilt margin. And so everyone's mind is clear-cut. Why Democrats believe they can now suddenly win the state is beyond me. No one can. Florida will once more cast votes for Trump. Based on Poly Market prediction, the map will probably show it as red. And thus, with the map now complete, Trump is destined to win every single swing state. And if you're curious why, this is precisely why. Trump leads the battlegrounds at 0.7, except for Wisconsin, where he is going to take the lead rather soon. He is ahead in every single swing state. According to the polls, Kamala Harris is failing. She is failing in support. And for this reason, the markets are veering away from her. She thus lost 2.7% quite suddenly, actually just today. Trump acquired that same precise sum. Trump's lead thus grew by an amazing 5.4% point today. On the map, Trump once more shows a 58% chance of winning the 2024 contest. He is en route to earn 312 electoral votes. At just 226 Kamala Harris is for months now, I have been stating this. Trump most likely will triumph in every swing state. I really appreciate you folks watching.
And there you have it. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that she totally bombed on that recent interview she had. You should go check it out if you haven't already seen it. It's really bad. I mean, she couldn't answer not one single question, and every time she's done an interview, the thing that we're seeing more and more is that she cannot answer any question. She just has to downplay Donald Trump, and just that's all she talks about is Donald Trump this, Donald Trump that. But the fact is that the lady has no plans for the future, and she cannot give us any details of her policies going forward if she were to be elected. So anyways, that's all I got for you guys. Please hit that like button, hit that notification bell, subscribe to my channel, and I'll be catching you in the next video. Peace.